Agricultural sector in 2025 stood at the intersection of policy ambitions, economic pressure, and climate shocks have combined to produce a year of mixed outcomes in the agricultural sector of the Nigeria's economy, leaving the stakeholders cautiously hopeful but deeply concerned about the impact of execution gaps. From government interventions and private sector engagement to food inflation, insecurity, and devastating flood, the sector reflects both progress and persistent vulnerabilities. Stakeholders who reviewed the year agree that while agriculture remains central to the federal government food security, economic diversification agenda, structural challenges continue to blunt the impact of policies and programs. Quite a whole lot of issues there to unpack on the show this morning. Let's talk to Dr. Ayodeji Ajisefinni, who joins me virtually from Ilori in Kwara State. He is the Chief Executive Officer of EGI Holdings. Good morning, Doctor. Good morning, Doctor. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. So we're trying to establish contact with Dr. Ajisefinni there from Kwara State, in Ilori, but specifically, he'll be talking to us with regards to some of these issues that we have highlighted, and the issues around the investment in agriculture, the government interventions, and of course the private sector contributions as well. The issues around a state of emergency that was declared by the government and all other issues. I have Dr. Ajisefinni now. Good morning, Doctor. How is Ilori this morning?
Thank you very much. Good morning. We are full and calm in Kwara State.
Good. You look very good, like the prince you are.
Thank you. Once in a while, it's good to look like your name.
Absolutely. All right, let's look at these issues now. Issues of agriculture is something we cannot stop talking about. Let's look at the interventions that we saw last year, both the private and the government sector, the government intervention. Do you think those interventions were enough for us to achieve food sufficiency? If it's not, which area do you think we should improve upon in the new year?
Well, thank you very much. The intervention has its own impacts. It has its own impacts on the present position of food availability in Nigeria. And Nigeria, a country with over 200 million population, we will still need more because the population of the country is growing day by day, and the consumption of food will continue to increase. Unfortunately, the production capacity is not increasing at the proportion of the population. Therefore, we will need more of such intervention to support in bringing down the cost of production of foods in Nigeria.
Hello, Doctor. Are you with me?
Yes. Can you hear me very well?
Yes, I can hear you.
I said, oh, thank you.
Yeah. All right. That is a very good one. But as a stakeholder in this area, what do you think we should do in terms of managing the insecurity that happened in the course of the year? I know what you can do is to offer advice to the federal government in this regard, who ultimately is in charge of security.
Well, thank you very much. The issue of insecurity is a very, very serious issue, which has contributed to the position of food production in Nigeria. Majority of farmers are no longer going to their farms. And the proposed state policing is what I would like personally to support. And when we are talking about state policing, look at some southwest states. They have their local vigilante group, which is incorporated at their own level. I think we need to do more on this type of a thing. Let's use our local people. Let's empower our local vigilante, train them, and make them more combatant ready to support and dedicate some of them to farm localities. When there is a certainty of security, farmers will be ready to go and do their farming job. But a situation where the farmers do not have guaranteed security, yes, economy is hard, no one wants to die. to stay at home and be managing themselves. Meaning, say local government, because they are the closest people to the farmers at the local level. Before you can call your state governor to your local government chairman knows where and what is in his local government. Therefore, the state government needs to encourage the local government management, encourage them more to do more on security engagement. Make sure the farmers have enough protection. Yes, our local vigilante may not be given sophisticated weapons, but let them have access to the one they can use, and let the communication flow between the local vigilante and the state security council be a very good rapport between the national security team and the local government security team. If there is a very good working relationship with them, I believe the issue of security, by the grace of God, will be a thing of yesteryears in Nigeria.
Oh, that's quite impressive there. Let's look at the major topic that we're focusing on today, food inflation. Of course, as you know, it dominated the first half of the year as well. Nigerian had to face the high cost of food, especially the staple one. If you look at from May, the month of May, the rising price of staples like rice, garri, maize, millet, yam, beans, tomato, pepper, and of course, talking about livestock products were very, very high. And this had a lot of impact on the household budget. Do you think with the decline that we experienced in the last few months towards the end of 2025, we're able to recover what we lost in the first half of 2025?
We cannot recover it so soon, because the high cost of food early part of last year affected a lot of things in Nigeria. It discourages a lot of farmers going back to farm. But with this new decline in price, it will encourage more farmers to go back to drawing board and know what they want to do. And not only on that, the price of foods have come down. The liquidity or cash flow or purchasing power is not there for the domestic consumers to access it. Therefore, something needs urgently to be done. Otherwise, it will return back to high price of food in Nigeria.
Doctor, can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Okay. Now you have highlighted talking about farmers going back to farm. It's not even a problem of farmers going back to farm again. It's a problem of government now engaging in food importation. A lot of farmers who were in the farm last year are still complaining that what they invested in food production is far, far less than, high than what they're actually recovering from there. What will you say to that? Is this a way to encourage farmers to go to farm?
Yes, let's be sincere with ourselves. When we talk about food production, we need to do it in a business manner. Before now, in Nigeria, we do agriculture. We produce according to how we desire to produce. And whatever we gain, we take it to market and use open market price to determine how much we sell. And that has been our system in Nigeria. Before now, a bag of rice, around this time last year, a bag of rice was nothing less than 120,000. And in some countries, a neighboring country here, a bag of rice was 50,000, 55,000. Why is it like that? Number one factor, the yield from the farm. Rice farmer, how many of our rice farmer can boast of getting at least 5 tons per hectare? None. Maximum of their production capacity was 2 tons per hectare. What do I mean? 20 bags of 100 kg from 20 plots of land. And that does not mean when they are selling to the rice miller will see that 100 kg perfect. to his factory. Cost of production will make the rice miller to lose some. At least production loss of 25 to 30% is always on the rice production process. I'm taking rice because that is the staple food. Meaning, high cost of electricity, bad roads, logistics from farm to the factory. All these things contributed to the high cost of rice. When government now sees that the high cost is affecting the consumption, it's affecting the country, yes, they open the border to bring the price, to bring this food from a lesser price country to Nigeria, just to sustain consumption, not looking at the impact on the farmers. How do we solve the problems of our own local farmers so that they too can be in a competitive market? End users does not want to know what farmers are going through before they get their product ready. What end users are after is, I want a cheap price. It is now high time for government and the stakeholders like us, the farmers, to come to our drawing board. How can we bring down the cost of production so that our product can be competitive with the one you are importing in order to stop importation? But importation, truth be told, can never be stopped. The population in Nigeria, we are not producing up to that level.
Whose fault?
Our consumption is better than our supply.
Doctor, whose fault?
Well, it's both parties' fault. You are here in the studio.
How deliberate is the government effort?
Do you have a farm of yours?
How deliberate?
Let's face the reality and tell ourselves the truth. Both the government and the private sector have issues on this. Yes, insecurity makes farmers to leave the farm. That is number one factor. Followed by high cost of production. These are two major factors. But do we encourage our young graduates, our youth, to take farming as a business? The atmosphere is not conducive before now. I told you, a population of 200 million, over 200 million, where we are producing less than 50 million of foods. Where are we going to get the balance? The stakeholders need to do what we call business analysis, comparing consumption to production, and let government know what we need to do in order to balance it up. And number one thing is provision of good security apparatus. Provision of what? Mechanization at an avoidable rate.
Doctor.
Before now in Nigeria,
Doctor,
if you want to, yes.
If you can hear me, that's why I say you talk about we making the.
I'm hearing you very well.
When you talk about young people not coming into farming, have we make agriculture attractive for younger ones to come in? I mean, look at the issue of mechanized farming you just mentioned. We're told that some tractors were brought in last year. Up till now, no farmers have come out to say, look, I've assessed these tractors. And these are some of the things that you know how capital intensive it is. Do you think in the way we are going, is there enough subsidy to make agriculture attractive to the younger ones who may not have the who have the technical know-how but may not have the money?
Well, you are very correct. The subsidy for agriculture is not yet enough. And you are talking about the tractors the government brought in. Are we aware of the modality of assessing this tractor? Is it going to be allocated as a free gift or on hire purchase? All these things are what we are expecting government to let the member of the public know. That yes, so we have 2,000 tractors as available. This is how we want to allocate it. And making agribusiness accessible or sexy to our young people. Charity begins at home, from the university level. How many universities in Nigeria that have College of Agri and are using the College of Agri to develop the students, the interest of the student in their course of studies. This needs to be first considered. Number two, availability of farmland. This goes to the state government and the local government. All the farmlands has been converted to residential or industrial allocation. And that is what gave back to this hydroponics farming. When there is no land, we need to find a solution. All the arable lands have been converted to housing scheme. Yes, we need to provide shelter, but let's reserve our farmland for food production. We are pushing the farmers to the forest, exposing them to danger without provision of security for them. These are the responsibility of the tiers of government.
So
but what I am saying this morning is, parents, let's make it a backyard startup for our youth. And federal government or state government, especially state government, let them do this micro lending for food production.
Doctor, if you're talking about making it a backyard business, it means we will not be able to address the issue of food insecurity. Because for us to be able to get to that and make it even attractive to the young people, we need to engage in commercial agriculture. And this is where government need to invest.
Yes, more what I'm trying to say.
Now, what they are investing
what I'm trying to bring about in that point is, what I'm trying to bring about is, let's think big and start small. We want this youth to come into it. I'm just saying that new generation of youth, let's start from their mindset now. While we talk about the big ones, we need to make it accessible and encouraging to the graduates in Nigeria. You know how many graduates we are turning out in Nigeria who never see prospect in agribusiness value chain? Food production is the largest sector that can provide employment for our youth. Government needs to look into it. And it's not only government that needs to do it. Private sector has their own impact. What we expect from government is conducive atmosphere, security. Let investors bring their private investment into this food production. Majority of our present investors believe in real estate. We can count how many Nigerian, good, well-blessed Nigerians that are in the sector of food production compared to the foreigners that are coming from abroad to establish. All these are factors that we need to look into.
All right.
There should be a serious food security seminar or summit in each state of Nigeria, and how local investors can benefit and create this. Instead of us exporting our raw food, our raw materials, to create employment for somebody else in another country. Absolutely. And they will now bring back the food. We will now be rushing. This is not good. This is contributing to high cost of production. Thank you.
To address that, of course, the issue of corruption in the system also needs to be addressed. If you want foreign investors to come in, you must give them the assurance that their investment is going to be safe. But let's move on to that now. Still look at the issue around food inflation. Of course, if you look at the NBS report, this suggests that towards the end of the year, there was a modest easing. But their report showed that they slightly, although it slowed slightly, but on a year-on-year basis, though with regional disparity. If you take Borno, for example, the highest food inflation rate was recorded in that state at 64.36%, apparently because of the issue of insecurity in that part of the country that has limited farming in that space. Of course, you have Bayelsa State coming second, 39.85%, and of course, Taraba State, one of the largest states in Nigeria in terms of land mass, 38.58%. But surprisingly, a state like Katsina State that is also facing insecurity, Rivers State, and your own home state, Kwara State, recorded the slowest increase in terms of food inflation. In fact, a single-digit rate. What will you attribute some of these factors to? We talk about insecurity already. What other thing do you think were responsible for these numbers?
Well, it is not a surprising thing. I'm not surprised with these indices. You have said it, insecurity contributed to the slight increase in food prices, inflation in some states. Why in some other states, the inflation comes down. Why is it like that? Majority of the producing states do not sell their product in their state. They prefer to export it to another consuming state. Even some investors leave their own state to invest in another state and harvest it, take it out of the state. The remittance is what the state will be scrambling to buy. Outside the issue of insecurity, like my states in Kwara, the area where we have insecurity issues are part of the state where we have food. These are our farmers that are producing food. And thank God, it's becoming a thing of yesterday. And God will continue to make it easy for us.
All right.
But the issue of food prices is not a thing that can come down drastically. The inflation cannot come as expected. It will be a gradual process, especially the producers, the states that are the states where the production is taking place, we have high inflation. While the states where the consumption is high, we now have low inflation. Why is it like that? People prefer to export from their state to other states, believing that they will make more money than selling in their state. Thank you.
All right. There's also a major event that happened last year, talking about the National Council on Agriculture and Food Security. It was held in Kaduna, and the Minister of Agriculture, talking about Senator Abubakar Kyari, did say that the interventions that we have is targeting at some market, and that is why we are beginning to see the result. But that report was countered by the Action Aid Nigeria Country Director, Dr. Andrew Mamedo, who argued that the price drop was largely driven by border openings and, of course, increase in import rather than increase in local production. What will you say to that?
Well, both sides have a good part. Before now, there is total decline in production of food in Nigeria before the intervention comes in. And the intervention is not a thing that covers the whole state. It's been specified on some crops. For example, maize, millet, wheat, rice. Do the intervention have 100% increment that we sustain our consumption? The answer is no. Therefore, for federal government to go into importation, I think is to complement the local production. And it's a challenge to we, the farmers, and to the government itself. That, okay, how do we minimize and reduce the importation of food stuff into Nigeria? Let's do the statistics and find a way of making the imports to local production ratio to be 70 to 30. That is, we increase our production by 70% and reduce our importation to 30% by making this job be more sexy, by making mechanization easier for our farmers that are on commercial basis. Post-harvest losses, how can we minimize it? Cost of input, how do we get it reduced? Availability of extension services to our farmers, how do we get it? If all these are looked into from the grassroots level, I believe, and also we move away from seasonal production to all-year production. This is capital intensive. And this is where private sector needs to come in. For us to increase our food production in this country, we need private involvement.
Doctor.
The countries where we are importing from,
Doctor.
I'm coming, my brother. The countries where we are importing from, the production is being achieved and shared by private sectors. How do we encourage our private sectors to invest in food production? Is what the Ministry of Agriculture should look into. Thank you.
Talking about encouraging private investor, it's so nice we say that almost all the time, but is the business environment friendly? I mean, is the bureaucracy easy? I know a lot of private investors, some foreigners who came to Nigeria here for business, the bureaucracy, the corruption in the system chased them away. I mean, don't you think the business environment, we need to, I mean, make it more friendly? I mean, and take out the bottlenecks and the bureaucracies for us to be able to attract these private sectors that we're talking about.
Yes, you are very correct. This is another topic that we need to advocate to the hearing of the government. Since Mr. President said, whoever is coming to Nigeria to add value to what we have in Nigeria, he is ready to eliminate any bureaucracy. Yes, that is his saying. And I believe that is the sayings to the ministers. And I also believe the ministers too that are concerned should look at it to their own directors at their level. Yes, corruption is the order of the day. May God help us. We can only minimize it. Eliminating it, though, it is only God that knows the way out. But here is the issue of food security. If government needs to declare emergency on food production in Nigeria, so be it.
I've done that already.
So be it. It's not yet enough. The emergency they declare is for importation and opening of border. How many of our local farmers have access to the loan to import these products?
All right.
The loans are there. The conditions are not palatable for smallholder farmers to access this loan in order to benefit from it. That is just another problem.
All right. All right. They say heaven help those who help themselves. But let's look at the issue of...
who help themselves. Therefore, let's start helping ourselves.
Absolutely. We need to start helping ourselves. Charity begins at home. Let's look at the issue of farm inputs now that you talked about now. It's indeed very high. I read about a farmer in Kano State who recounted how some farmers had to remove the roofing sheets of their houses or even sell their personal belongings to buy inputs. How do you think this will encourage them to still maintain farming, especially grain farming?
Well, my dear brother, I told you, and I'm repeating it. Agriculture is no longer order of the day. Agribusiness. And that is the importance of extension service to our local farmers. Before you go into the farming season, you need to first determine how much do you need. Majority of our local farmers, smallholder farmers, do not have that the budget for what they want to do. They are still operating in a conventional way, and it's not good. If you have one plot of land, it does not take you that because you don't have certificate in education or you are not educated. This time around, I want to buy 1 kilo of seed, 5 bags of fertilizer, 5 liters of insecticide or herbicide. How much does it cost me? But majority of our farmers, they do buy as we go. And in all fairness, as a businessman, it is not a wise decision for you to buy as you go. Okay, we need fertilizer tomorrow, yeah, take money. Tomorrow that you need money to buy fertilizer, who says that you have the cash? Since you are not a trader, why not budget? Use your budget to acquire all what you need for that project. Yes, there may be need for contingencies, but that can come in. I will not say it's a good practice for farmers to say that he sold his roof, house roof, or he sold his property to sustain his farm, that is not a business. It's not a business at all. It's not a thing that we can call food production.
All right.
And that is where education is very, very important. Let's educate ourselves, even at the grassroots, using local languages. Don't do it that way.
All right.
If at all government brings loan for farmers and they don't have budget, how do you expect the loans to be repaid back? And these are where diversion of fund comes in, because if he takes loan for such a person, he will first wants to come and re-roof his house.
Indeed.
Plan. Let's plan so that we will not unplan.
Indeed. Very impressive. Let's look at this now. In April 2025, the federal government secured 12 billion yuan is a loan from Japan to boost food production through National Agricultural Growth Scheme and Agro Pocket. I'm sure you are very much aware of that. That facility, it was targeted at improving rice seed quality, strengthening input delivery system, enhanced extension services, and expanding private sector participation in agricultural input production. Some of these things, we'll read them on the pages of newspaper. You yourself as a farmer and who also has other farmers under you, how many of your farmers have been able to benefit from this facility?
Just like you read on the paper, so I do. None of my farmers across the country because I work with smallholder farmers, and things like this, I believe it will end at the commercial farmers at the national level. But for the small farmers, to the best of my knowledge, none of them is a beneficiary.
So
Thank you.
that begs the questions as to where are all these interventions going to? I mean, if you as a farmer and who also supervises other farmers said you can't, none of your farmers benefit from these facilities, where are they going to?
Well, I won't say because my network of farmers are not benefiting, others are not benefiting. I would not like to comment in that area because some people have benefited. I'm waiting for our own turn. Maybe we need to work harder to the relevant agencies in getting our own benefits.
Okay, as we wrap up the conversation now, how do you think farm mechanization will gain momentum this year? I mean, it's something we've been talking about for a very long time. We have admitted that we can't continue the local way of farming, that mechanization is the only way to go. It's something that we'll be singing about. How much of momentum do you think that will attract in this 2026?
Well, we will continue to appeal to our government, both from local government, state, and federal. But as a private practitioner, I will appeal to private sectors where to do investors in Nigeria to please help us. They will do it in business way. And I believe having them to bring more of these things, since government have declared tax import duty free on agricultural equipment, I believe they will not regret investing in that mechanization because that's the only thing that can help Nigeria food security and sustainability. We will continue. Government cannot do it alone. A state that needs 5,000 tractors and they can only boast of 50 or less than 100. What do you expect of such states? But if we have investors that has the capacity, can take World Bank loan, can take CBN loan to import tractors, if we do it as a business, and I believe we will achieve because farm mechanization is a profitable investment. Whoever needs more details can contact.
Indeed, of course, it's a right investment. Government cannot do it alone. They need private sector investment, but they must lead by example. Of course, I must thank you, Dr. Ayodeji Ajisefinni, Chief Executive Officer of EGI Holdings. Thank you so much for your time and contributions on Business Daily today. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
All right, with that is a wrap on the show for today and, of course, for the week as well. We'll be back here on Monday. I am Yusuf Akogun.